teachings, a guiding light. Key Avot's wisdom shining bright. The old Torah, treasure to share. On the Mishnah walk, we're all aware. A Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yours. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages, we find our way. On the Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, every single day. The Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yours. The Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth. On the Mishnah walk, with hearts like roots. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yours. Rabbi Akiva's teachings, a guiding light. Key Avot's wisdom shining bright. The old Torah, treasure to share. On the Mishnah walk, we're all aware. A Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yours. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages, we find our way. On the Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, every single day. The Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yours. The Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth. On the Mishnah walk, with hearts like roots. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yours. Rabbi Akiva's teachings, a guiding light. Key Avot's wisdom shining bright. The old Torah, treasure to share. On the Mishnah walk, we're all aware. A Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yours. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages, we find our way. On the Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, every single day. The Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yours. The Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth. On the Mishnah walk, with hearts like roots. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yours. Rabbi Akiva's teachings, a guiding light. Key Avot's wisdom shining bright. The old Torah, treasure to share. On the Mishnah walk, we're all aware. A Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yours. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages, we find our way on the Mishnah walk every single day. Mishnah walk every single day. The Mishnah walk every single day. Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. The Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth. On the Mishnah walk, with hearts like roots. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. Rabbi Akiva's teachings are guiding light. Raki Avot's wisdom shining bright. The Torah treasure to share. On the Mishnah walk, we're all aware. A Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages, we find our way on the Mishnah walk every single day. Mishnah walk every single day. The Mishnah walk every single day. Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. The Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth. On the Mishnah walk, with hearts like roots. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. Rabbi Akiva's teachings are guiding light. Raki Avot's wisdom shining bright. The Torah treasure to share. On the Mishnah walk, we're all aware. A Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages, we find our way on the Mishnah walk every single day. Mishnah walk every single day. The Mishnah walk every single day. Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. The Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth. On the Mishnah walk, with hearts like roots. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. Rabbi Akiva's teachings are guiding light. Raki Avot's wisdom shining bright. The Torah treasure to share. On the Mishnah walk, we're all aware. A Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages, we find our way on the Mishnah walk every single day. Mishnah walk every single day. The Mishnah walk every single day. Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. The Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth. On the Mishnah walk, with hearts like roots. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. Rabbi Akiva's teachings are guiding light. Aki Avot's wisdom shining bright. The oral Torah, treasure to share. On the Mishnah walk, we're all aware. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages we find our way. On the Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, every single day. The Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. The Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth. On the Mishnah walk, with hearts like roots. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. Rabbi Akiva's teachings are guiding light. Aki Avot's wisdom shining bright. The oral Torah, treasure to share. On the Mishnah walk, we're all aware. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages we find our way. On the Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, every single day. The Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. The Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth. On the Mishnah walk, with hearts like roots. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. Rabbi Akiva's teachings are guiding light. Aki Avot's wisdom shining bright. The oral Torah, treasure to share. On the Mishnah walk, we're all aware. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages we find our way. On the Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, every single day. The Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. The Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth. On the Mishnah walk, with hearts hearts like root. We're Mishnah Walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah Walk, wisdom is yearned. Rabbi Akiva's teachings are guiding light, Aki Avot's wisdom shining bright. The old Torah treasure to share, on the Mishnah Walk, we're all aware. A Mishnah Walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah Walk, wisdom is yearned. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages we find our way, on the Mishnah Walk, every single day. Mishnah Walk, every single day. The Mishnah Walk, every single day. Mishnah Walk, a journey of the soul. We're Mishnah Walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah Walk, wisdom is yearned. The Mishnah Walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth, on the Mishnah Walk, with hearts like root. We're Mishnah Walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah Walk, wisdom is yearned. Rabbi Akiva's teachings are guiding light, Aki Avot's wisdom shining bright. The old Torah treasure to share, on the Mishnah Walk, we're all aware. A Mishnah Walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah Walk, wisdom is yearned. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages we find our way, on the Mishnah Walk, every single day. Mishnah Walk, every single day. The Mishnah Walk, every single day. Mishnah Walk, a journey of the soul. We're Mishnah Walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah Walk, wisdom is yearned. The Mishnah Walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth, on the Mishnah Walk, with hearts like root. We're Mishnah Walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah Walk, wisdom is yearned. Rabbi Akiva's teachings are guiding light, Aki Avot's wisdom shining bright. The old Torah treasure to share, on the Mishnah Walk, we're all aware. A Mishnah Walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah Walk, wisdom is yearned. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages we find our way, on the Mishnah Walk, every single day. Mishnah Walk, every single day. The Mishnah Walk, every single day. Mishnah Walk, a journey of the soul. We're Mishnah Walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah Walk, wisdom is yearned. The Mishnah Walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth, on the Mishnah Walk, with hearts like root. We're Mishnah Walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah Walk, wisdom is yearned. Rabbi Akiva's teachings are guiding light, Aki Avot's wisdom shining bright. The old Torah treasure to share, on the Mishnah Walk, we're all aware. aware, a Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages we find our way, on the Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, every single day. The Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. The Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth, on the Mishnah walk, with hearts like roots. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. Rabbi Akiva's teachings are guiding light, Raki Avot's wisdom shining bright. The Torah treasure to share, on the Mishnah walk, we're all aware. A Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages we find our way, on the Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, every single day. The Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. The Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth, on the Mishnah walk, with hearts like roots. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. Rabbi Akiva's teachings are guiding light, Raki Avot's wisdom shining bright. The Torah treasure to share, on the Mishnah walk, we're all aware. A Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages we find our way, on the Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, every single day. The Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. The Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth, on the Mishnah walk, with hearts like roots. The Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. Rabbi Akiva's teachings are guiding light, Raki Avot's wisdom shining bright. The Torah treasure to share, on the Mishnah walk, we're all aware. A Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned, on the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. From tractate to tractate we roam, unpacking the meaning, making it our home. In the words of the sages we find our way, on the Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk, every single day. Mishnah walk every single day. Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul. We're Mishnah walk, a road of discovery, where ancient texts meet the heart's inquiry. Every step a lesson learned. On the Mishnah walk, wisdom is yearned. The Mishnah walk, a journey of the soul, where the love of learning makes us whole. May every step bring us closer to the truth. On the Mishnah walk, with hearts like
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov. Oh, my kippah.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Looks like a gnome.
That was a little
put
odd.
picture of our kippah, so.
Well, yeah, you can have a little rim on it. That's fine.
Didn't expect to be here. Just kind of a random pop-in. So hello, everybody. Good to see you, Yosef.
Shavua Tov. Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Is Heather here?
She is here. She was having tech difficulties. How are you doing now?
I'm here.
All right.
Just running a little behind.
She appeareth. All right. So let's go ahead and begin with our opening prayer. Heather, would you like to read the first few lines? Read and translate.
Yehi ratzon milefanecha, Adonai Elohai. I am grateful before you, O eternal my God. Shelo ekoshel bidvar halacha, that I shall not stumble in a matter of Jewish law. Shelo omar wa'al tameh tahor wa'al tahor tameh, that I shall not say regarding that which is impure that it is pure, and regarding that which is pure that it is impure.
Yeah, we can go to the end. Let's continue.
Wa'al mutar asur, wa'al asur mutar, and that I shall not say regarding that which is permitted that it is forbidden, and regarding that which is forbidden that it is permitted. Wa'al ekoshel bidvar halacha, and I shall not stumble in a matter of Jewish law. Wa'yismehu bi havorai, and my friends shall rejoice with me. Wa'al yikashalu havorai bidvar halacha, and my friends shall not stumble in a matter of Jewish law. Wa'esma behem, and I shall rejoice with them.
Okay, we're going to jump to positive commandment of the 613 stipulations of the everlasting covenant between God and Israel. So every week we read 13 of the 613 so that within a year we complete it. Works out just about right. So we left off on mitzvah, positive, proactive mitzvah number 27. So we'll begin on 28. And Victor, would you like to read the first?
Sure. Excuse me. To burn a spice offering twice each day, as Exodus 37 states, and Aaron shall burn incense upon it.
Right, Miswah haba'ah, next Miswah, next commandment. Peter, would you like to read?
To keep a fire burning on the altar for burnt offerings continually, as Leviticus 6:6 states, and you shall keep a fire burning continuously on the altar.
Right, Miswah haba'ah. So when we finish, we say, well, there are options. You can say mi haba, who is next, mi haba, or you can say Miswah haba'ah, next commandment.
Mitzvah haba'ah.
All right.
To remove the ashes from the altar, as Leviticus chapter 6, verse 3 states, and he shall remove the ashes. Miswah haba'ah.
To send impure people out from the camp of the divine presence, that is to say, the sanctuary, the holy temple, whether in its mobile form or its permanent location. As Numbers 5, verse 2 states, and you shall send from the camp all the leprous, any zav, and anyone who has contracted impurity because of a corpse. Mihaba, who's next? Mihaba,
Anihaba,
b'chavod.
to show honor to Aaron's descendants and to give them priority regarding all holy matters, as Leviticus 21:8 states, and you shall sanctify him. Mitzvah haba,
To
Peter,
clothe the priests with the priestly garments for the service in the temple, as Exodus 28:2 states, and you shall make holy garments. Mihaba.
Mihaba, who's next? Mihaba.
Ani haba'a.
Okay.
To carry the ark upon their shoulders when it is to be carried, as Numbers chapter 7, verse 9 states, and they shall carry it on their shoulders. Mihaba.
Anihaba, to anoint the high priests and kings with the anointing oil, as Exodus chapter 30, verse 30 through 31 states, anoint Aharon, this shall be a sacred anointing oil. Victor, Tur Shalcha, your turn. Tur Shalcha. So I want you to say my turn.
Ursheli,
B'chavod, kol hakavod.
for the priests to serve in the sanctuary in individual watches, and for them to all serve as one on the festivals, as Deuteronomy 18:6-8 states, when the Levite shall come, he can serve, with the exception of that which is theirs by ancestral right. Anihaba, or
Let's say, call out the person and tell them it's their turn, their
oh
Tor,
boy.
their Tor, their turn.
Let's see.
It's Peter.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you ask him.
Tor, you're gonna say Tor and then Shalcha.
Tur Shelcha. Peter, tell Tur Shelcha.
That's it. Shalcha is yours, so it's like saying turn your turn of yours.
Tor Sheli, for the priests to become ritually impure and mourn for their relatives in the same manner as other Jews who are commanded to mourn, as Leviticus 21:3 states, he shall become impure for her.
All right, you're gonna tell Heather, Hodaya, it's her turn.
Torah Shalch.
Shalach.
How you say feminine? What's that?
Shalach.
Shalach?
Yeah, Shalach.
Torah Shalach Hodaya.
For a high priest to marry a virgin, as Leviticus chapter 21, verse 13 states, and he shall marry a woman who is a virgin. Miswa haba'a.
All right, you gotta tell me your turn.
Rabbi, Tur
Yeah.
Shalha.
All right, and we want to make that cha more noticeable.
Tur Shalha.
All right. To offer the Tamid offerings each day, as Numbers chapter 28, verse 3 states, this is the fire offering, 2 each day continuously. Victor, Tor Shalcha.
For the high priest to offer a meal offering each day, as Leviticus 6:13 states, this is the sacrifice of Aaron and his descendants. Peter, Ur Shalach.
Shalcha.
Shelcha.
Yeah, it was correct, but that was feminine.
To offer Torah Shali, to offer an additional sacrifice every Sabbath, as Numbers 28:9 states, on the Sabbath day, 2 lambs.
All right, and that is the basis of the Musaf prayer, the additional prayer, because Jewish daily prayers all over the world correspond to and are based upon God's commandment to give a daily offering, which of course symbolize the giving of our heart back to Him. So that is, it's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Are the sacrifices based on our daily giving of ourselves, or is the prayer based on the sacrifices? It's kind of in some way, I think they're intertwined, especially considering the word korban, drawing near. That's a different topic. Let's continue. We're back in the Rambam's introduction to his commentary to the Mishnah, which is the earliest extant commentary on the Mishnah that exists. Victor, can you explain to people roughly what the Mishnah is?
Roughly. Mishnah would be the writing down of the oral commands as given from the time of Moses.
Okay. Heather, would you like to? I'm sorry.
Do you have the correct answer?
Well, that is what it is, but what makes it unique? Because according to early rabbinic literature, it's not, contrary to what is popularly taught, it is not the first time oral law was written down. So what makes it unique?
It's the earliest codification that was intended for public consumption.
Oh my goodness, that's right. All right. And what is it not, Peter? If you could explain, what is it not that may popularly be assumed to be?
What is it not? I mean, I could say a few things. I'm not sure.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, it's not like a didactic word for word revelation from Sinai.
That's very important to know.
Yeah.
And it's popularly pushed,
Mm-hmm.
at least in sort of introductory articles or lectures on Judaism, is popularly pushed as it's the oral Torah given at Mount Sinai. And that's a great setup to make Jews doubt and eventually throw away their confidence in Jewish tradition as they quickly start to realize that that's not what it presents itself to be. It's not in our interest, nor in the interest of the Jewish people, to sort of set up our defeat from the beginning when we introduce people to Torah. So it's very important that we distinguish between something containing ancient tradition, which we may describe as from Mount Sinai, as opposed to saying that the text itself is, verbatim, word for word, something given directly by God to Israel, when it clearly does not present itself in such a way. Neither it, nor the Talmud, nor the post-Talmudic writings present it in such a manner that's a much later distortion of what it is. All right, and so it actually contains ancient teachings, ancient understandings preserved by the classical sages of the people of Israel regarding how we do the 613 conditions, demands of the covenant between God and Israel, what we find in the bedrock of the Bible, the first 5 books. So they explain how the ancient leaders of Israel understood in which way we're supposed to do these commandments, and also their discussions, deliberations on how we do it with regard to aspects of the commandments that they did not receive from Mount Sinai. And so it's sort of like national consensus on how we do the commandments in a cohesive manner, so that the people of Israel will be strong as a nation instead of fragmented, like some 30,000 plus denominations that we find in other religions.
So there are questions that would have been brought up in the days of Moses that were not brought up. Then there were other questions that were brought up over the centuries.
Of course, this is explicit. It's explicit in the text of the Bible, in the text of the Torah, that they had questions on things that God had not explicitly delineated for them.
And they weren't all answered in Moses's day, because they weren't all asked then.
If that were the case, exactly. That's a fundamental of Torah to know that. If you have the intellectual capacity to understand it, it's a commandment to know it, because that is part and parcel with the covenant itself, that we will heed the judges, the Kohanim, the descendants of Aaron, and the Levites who sit in the place as judges, as a council of judges, not as one individual autocrat, but as a council of judges in that specific location that the Almighty would determine for us with regard to any disputes that arise in our gates. And that commandment won't be given, would not have been given, that we should do so in your days in the future if everything had already been answered then. A denial of this is actually a violation of Torah. A denial of it is actually a canceling of the covenant. It's tantamount to heresy. The idea that everything was literally given at Mount Sinai is, on the one hand, they may be viewing themselves in some altruistic way of glorifying Torah or whatever, but they're actually transgressing the Torah on a very fundamental level to present such a concept. So the Mishnah is, as you said, the first organization, and it's an abbreviated organization, also important to point out, of the legal tradition. You could also say legislative tradition of the people of Israel, with alternative understandings as well. But because it is an abbreviation, and it was a a compromise to write it down rather than an even worse alternative, but it wasn't the ideal that it be written down. The ideal is that the legislative and judicial system of the Jewish people would remain active and vibrant and not codified. That's the ideal. This is a compromise in order to avoid the complete dissolution of this tradition, which our sages saw as an impending reality, were they not to make this compromise. But it's also important to know that it's not an ideal. It's not like the Ten Commandments that are unalterable. There are aspects of the contents of the Mishnah that are alterable were we to have a future reestablished Supreme Council of the Sages of Israel. It may be reestablished speedily in our days, but does not currently exist. So because it is given as an abbreviation, there's need to expound upon it. That is what the Talmudic text comes to do with the Mishnah. The Babylonian Talmud and the Jerusalem Talmud, the Eretz Israel, the land of Israel Talmud, that's what they come to do. But because those were themselves also written roughly 1,500 years ago, there's still need to explain. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at Maimonides, Rambam's introduction to his commentary on the Mishnah. And as we said at the beginning, very important to write down. I encourage everybody to write it down if they do not know this, that it is the oldest known extant commentary on the Mishnah. The oldest known. I don't know if it, let's see. I could not say that it predates Rashi's commentary on the Talmud. I'm not completely certain about that, so I won't say that. But on the Mishnah, it's the oldest extant that we have. And it was also written in Arabic, so it shows the importance of the Arabic language, but it also shows the importance of as understood by some of the greatest leaders of the Jewish people since the Talmud, and their understand of the need for writing foundational Jewish literature in a language that the majority of the Jewish people understand, even if it's not Hebrew. So could you imagine Maimonides writing this in Aramaic, even though the overwhelming majority of Jewish people did not know Aramaic at that time? That would completely defeat his purpose. He was uninhibited to write it in a language that the majority of the Jewish people understood. Right? But in this case, it was Arabic, the most widely spoken language of the Jewish people until relatively recently. Yalla, let's dive in. Please see earlier videos on the Rambam's introduction to the Mishnah, to his commentary to the Mishnah. you can find on the Mishnah Walk website and
Can I
YouTube.
ask a question?
Sir.
Would you say that the writing this down, which was needed, kind of reveals a loss of a very great thing, and that is that we do not have a system that we go to ask those questions
Exactly.
today.
Its
And
very existence is what we call bidi avad. It's a de facto necessity or reality. It's something that is acceptable as a non-ideal. The Mishnah is actually not the ideal.
well,
And it
today
did
it's
not
studied. Yeah.
to be a permanent ideal.
Mm.
It's a temporary compromise.
Do
Supposed to
they study it today to apply it, or to learn how to replace those who used to be able to disseminate these decisions?
neither.
Uh,
And the overwhelming majority of yeshivot, Jewish seminaries, for lack of a better word, in the overwhelming majority of them, they neither study the Mishnah nor the Talmud with intent to understand or arrive at the practical application of the of the commandments as understood by our sages. That is not the way it's widely known, and that's not a good thing that it's not the way that it's widely taught.
yeah.
It's taught really purely for didactics, for the sake of didactics. It's taught for the sake of argumentation, which is widely believed to be a highly noble goal unto itself, not for the purpose of understanding how to actually apply it, how it can actually be relevant to us. And that's not to say there are no yeshivot that do study it with the intent of understanding how we arrive at practical Jewish law from these texts. There are some yeshivot that do it. Thank God there's more now than there were 40 years ago, but they are still the minority. Some examples are the Zilberman Yeshiva in the old city of Jerusalem, or Torat Hayim in Yad Binyamin in Israel by the Rabbi Shmuel Tal, who he and his community were ethnically cleansed from Gaza in 2005, the great sin of which we're still reaping the negative repercussions of. So those are two well-known yeshivot that learn these texts with the intent that they were intended to be learned. Unfortunately, they're a severe minority. It's not at all the mainstream. So I'm big fans of both of those yeshivot. There are a few others that are new that I can't recall the name or who leads them, but I do know that there are others. I'll probably also, yeah, for sure, Or Vishua and Haifa, but there are a few others. May their numbers multiply. Amen. Right?
Amen.
Yalla. Bo'u nathil. Hodaya, would you like to begin? Hashem Adonai El Olam, in the name of the eternal, the everlasting God, the God of all existence.
My internet seems to be lagging,
Okay,
so perhaps somebody else, and when my internet's
no
better,
problem,
then
no problem.
somebody else.
No problem, Mr. Victor Bachavod.
The Sederim. This is chapter 6, the Mishnah, the Sederim, and their
Mesechtot. Anytime you see an S at the end of a Hebrew transliteration, it is properly pronounced a TH, like in the word think. So if you're not going to do that, then please do it as a T, because we want to be most widely understood. And also the CHs for everybody listening. If you see a CH in the Hebrew transliteration, it's not ch as in cheese, but it's like well, we don't have it in English, but like Lach, Bach, Sebastian Bach. It's not the best transliteration, but it is what it is. Also, the transliteration in this text I don't want to be a complainer because this is the only widely available translation of this extremely important text that we have in front of us. So I do greatly appreciate it. I haven't made such a translation, but he's very inconsistent in his transliterations. So sometimes he's using very normative, mainstream Ashkenazi transliteration, and in other places he distinguishes between a het and a chaf, with the letter het having a H with a dot under it. So it's kind of all over
Interesting.
the place.
Mesechtos.
Yeah, and right here you
Mesechtos.
see he's transliterating the dagesh in the letter tet, which is interesting. It's nice that he did that, but yeah, it's not consistent. Let's get going.
When the compiler of the Mishnah decided to compose this work following the system described, he saw fit to divide it into 6 parts. The first part consists of those mitzvot pertaining to agricultural concerns such as kilayim, diverse seas, shemitah, lands. Sorry.
Let's reread it. When we read a Hebrew term that's transliterated, at least the first time that we read it, let's explain what it is. So Masechtot are tractates. These are like volumes of specific topics. And mitzvot are commandments. Let's begin again. Each time we see a transliterated word, let's explain what it means.
The first part consists of those mitzvot, commandments pertaining to agricultural concerns, such as kilayim, diverse seeds,
Kilayim, bad transliteration. Kilayim.
kilayim, diverse seeds, shemitah, land sabbatical, orla, the 3-year fruit, terumoth, contributions for the Kohanim, and maaseroth, tithes for the Levites, and the other contribution laws.
We do the second part, and then Peter can continue.
The second part, these mitzvot pertaining to particular seasonal periods and festivals, what we are obligated to do during them, the individual laws of each holiday, that which is forbidden, that which is permitted on all of these festivals, and all other laws and mitzvot which pertain to each one.
Third part, Victor Bachavod.
Third part, marital
Sorry,
affairs.
I meant to say Peter.
The third part, marital affairs and the legal distinctions between men and women. In other words, the performing of yibum, levirate marriage, chalitza, dissolving the obligation of yibum.
And we see here the H with the dot under it, which is a good transliteration, but not consistent. Halisa.
The writing of ketubot, marriage contracts, gittin, divorce documents, and all necessary outside information pertaining to each of these procedures. The fourth part, civil laws, conflicts between man and his fellow, merchandising, commerce, land partnerships, etc. The fifth part, the many various laws concerning the various offerings. The sixth part, the many laws of objects fit for holy uses, and those rendered unfit for such uses, Tehoroth, Tumoth.
All right, beautiful. You can see here another example of inconsistency. Here he transliterates the Hebrew verb hiri, which makes an E sound, as an EE. That's good, because that's how the majority of English speakers with little background in Hebrew would intuitively read it. But in most places, he transliterates the same exact vowel as just an I, which is pretty mainstream. I wouldn't say it's bad in and of itself, but it's not good for the majority of people, because it doesn't make just an eh sound, but that's how most would read it. So when you see an I in a Hebrew transliteration, most of the time you should assume, the overwhelming majority of times, you should assume that an I makes an E sound, just like he did up here in Shemitah. Right? So, for example, instead of bum, which is how a regular English speaker would assume this is read, Instead of yibam, it's yibum. So the I's are all E's and the U's are consistently U as opposed to A. So yibum, halisa, gitin, etc. You can go ahead and read the last one if you like.
Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi called each of these sections a Seder order. The first Seder is called Seder Zeraim, seeds. The second Seder Moadei, appointed times. The third Seder Nashim, woman.
That's right.
The fourth Seder Nazikim, damages. The fifth Seder Kadoshim, sanctified objects. And the sixth Seder Thoroth. The Horoth. Okay, sorry.
The horos. Yeah, usually if you have a 3-syllable word, you can assume the accent's on the last syllable.
A way to remember this is to use the first Hebrew letter of each of the orders to form the Hebrew words Zaman Nakat.
Excellent, excellent. In arranging the order in which these 6 sections would appear, he commenced with Seder Zeraim, soil produce, literally the order of seeds, because it contains all the mitzvot, all the commandments associated with the seed of the earth, which sustain all life. Since it is impossible for a mortal to survive without sustenance, it would of course be impossible for one to serve Hashem the Almighty without it. Therefore, Rabbeinu HaKadosh, our holy teacher, decided to have the Seder, this first order of the Mishnah, this first section, major section of the Mishnah. He decided for this reason to have its topic be the discussion of the commandments that are unique to the produce of the earth, and that it come first. Afterwards, he placed Seder Mo'adeh, appointed times, following the order of these 2 subjects as presented in the Torah. First comes the verse concerning the land sabbatical. So this is a Sabbath of the land, as opposed to a Sabbath of humans. In 6 years you shall plant your land and gather your produce, but on the 7th you shall let it go. Exodus chapter 23, verse 10 through 11. Odeya, how are you holding up?
I think I'm good.
All right, bechavod. If you get small sections, feel free to add as you feel.
Okay. This is followed by the commandment concerning Shabbat, a holy day. 6 days shall you do your doings, but on the 7th you shall refrain. And that is followed by the verse discussing the Shalosh Regalim, the 3 annual pilgrimage festivals upon which all came to the temple. 3 holidays you shall celebrate for me in the year. Next, he decided to proceed with the laws of women, prior to the laws of damages, again in order to follow the sequence of Scripture, as it first says, "And when a man will sell his daughter as a maidservant, and when a man will strive and strike a pregnant woman." And then it continues, "And when an ox will gore a man."
Now, I want people to notice this.
Hmm.
The same way that the Torah is not giving this law regarding when a man strikes a pregnant woman, in the same way it's not giving this law as a approval of men striking a pregnant woman, which hopefully is widely understood, not really disputed. In the same way, it's also not giving a command regarding when a man sells his daughter as an approval of the action, but rather an acceptance and a recognition of the reality that these things occur, and then giving legislation on how you go about dealing with it as a reality, rather than just simply denying it as a reality, but not as approval of either action, right? Same thing here. It's not saying it's good that an ox gores a man, but rather a recognition that this happens, and this is what you do when it happens. No different than divorce, right? It's not a an approval of divorce as something that's acceptable, but it's a reality, and sometimes it's a reality that's necessary in that particular case. But you know what? It's also sometimes necessary to fight somebody, not that it's an approval of this as an ideal. And it's a nuance that I think that individuals of average intellect can grasp. But unfortunately, when people come at the Torah with a predetermined conviction that it's horrible and primitive, then they will not apply equal standards to all the texts, even though even though the same wording is used for other things that the average person would recognize is not being stated as an ideal, but simply a reality. But you guys feel free to
That
comment.
certainly makes common sense, Rabbi. But I'm curious, when you read this in the Hebrew, would it also would it be differentiated easier than because I like to say people are fluent in translation, but they don't know what it says in Hebrew. But
Well, very often it's the word key. Key is usually when people begin learning Hebrew, they understand it just as because, and it can mean because, but it's also a pretty flexible word, kind of like the prefix b, which people also learn early on in Hebrew. It's also very flexible, probably the most flexible word in Hebrew, prefix. It can mean it can mean in, at, with, by, through, etc. So key is not that flexible, but it's pretty flexible. Usually people are taught that it means because, but in biblical Hebrew and literary modern Hebrew, key often it also means when or that. And sometimes it means other things as well. So this is a very commonly used term in the giving of commandments. And I can't remember off the top of my head which Hebrew word is used here, but I'm pretty sure that it's the word key. It's like saying that or when. But as we said, you could also understand it as because these things are going to happen. It's just a recognition of reality and what you should do with that reality. Victor, would you like to read the next keta, the next paragraph?
hence, he placed Seder Nashim, women, before Seder Nezakim, damages,
Nezikim.
Nezikim. As a result, these four topics taken up in Seder Zeraim, Seder Moad, and Seder Nashim, and Seder Nezikim are all included in the book of Exodus. After discussing the contents of the book of Exodus, he began discussing the next book of the Pentateuch, the book of Leviticus. Hence, immediately after Nezikim, Rebbe put Kodashim, sanctified object, and after Kodashim, he placed Tahoroth.
Tahorot. Accent on the last syllable most of the time.
Tahoroth. Once again, following the order of the verses, commencing with the laws of offerings, Kodshim, before the laws of Tumoth and Tahoroth, since the laws of Tahoroth in the book of Leviticus first begin after the section on sacrificial offerings, which is at the very beginning of Leviticus, in the section beginning with the words Vayahi Bayom Hashmini, and it was on the 8th day.
All right, and tum'oth are impurities, and tahoroth are purifications or purities. Mr. Peter, b'chavod, go right ahead. Tur shalcha. Your turn.
Okay, the Torah Shali Masechto, when Rebbe Yehuda Hanasi compiled.
If we know it, let's translate these transliterations. If each person for their turn. So Masechtot are the major volumes of the Mishnah. Right? They're the major topical volumes of the Mishnah.
When Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi compiled all these 6 sections, each called a Seder, comprised of the mitzvot of the Torah, he saw fit to subdivide each of these general sections into several appropriate subtopics, calling each of these a Masechta, a tractate. He then apportioned each segment dealing with a single concept into smaller chapters, calling each one a perek, or a chapter.
It literally means joint. It's the same word for your wrist, by the way. And it's the standard word for a chapter till today in Hebrew.
He then divided each perek, each chapter, into small comprehensive units.
For some reason it's not going. There we go. Just a little stuck there.
Units recorded in a manner which makes them easy both to learn by heart and to teach to others. Each one of these units he called a halacha, a law.
Halacha.
Halacha. 1. Seder Zaraim, soil, produce. Masechta Barachot, the tractate of blessings. He subdivided Seder Zaraim as follows. He necessarily began with Masechta Barachot, blessings. When an expert physician is concerned with preserving the well-being of a normally healthy person, he first proceeds to improve his diet. Similarly, this sage saw fit to begin the Seder with its Masechta of Barachot, blessings. No one may partake of any food until he recites a baracha, a blessing, to God over it. Because by doing this, he was improving our life substance by instilling it with a higher order of spiritual significance. However, the first subject discussed in barachot is not the blessing said over food. For having begun the subject of blessings, Rebbe decided to undertake a complete discussion of all kinds of obligatory blessings, not only those said prior to partaking food, but also those recited upon undertaking to perform mitzvot. Now there is no, sorry?
Go ahead.
Now there is no biblical mitzvah obligatory upon every man every day except for reciting the Shema, the proclamation, Hear, O Israel, Hashem, our God, Hashem is one. Thus the blessing set upon undertaking the recitation of the Shema is the foremost candidate for the first blessing to be discussed. However, it would be inappropriate to discuss the blessing said prior to reciting the Shema without first discussing the rules of the recitation of the Shema itself. He therefore began Masechta Barachot with determining the time for the Shema's recitation and everything else concerning the Shema. He then proceeded with the laws of the blessing said over other mitzvot, and then finally those said over food.
All right, Mi Haba, who's next?
Ani haba,
Yes, sir.
chapter 6, Sedarim and Mesechtoth, Paya,
Good. Whoa.
end of the field. He then returned to the main subject of the Seder, the mitzvot involving the seed of the earth, by placing after Masechta Barachot, Masechta Paya, end of the field, a portion of whose produce a farmer is required to leave unreaped for the poor, since it is the one agricultural contribution given while in a stage prior to its reaping, being obligatory with stalk still rooted in the soil. Number 3, demai, dubious.
I mean, or unknown or doubtful. So it's the produce that we're not sure whether it had been tithed or not. I don't know why you
Oh,
should.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you could say dubious status, but it's just not. It doesn't sound so good.
Yeah. In other words, it's not already known.
It's
if
not
it's been
known
set
for
aside.
sure.
Yeah. After Paya comes Demai, produce of dubious status or unknown status, since
Dubious,
the
it's just Yeah, let's not call it dubious. Let's just
Yeah.
call it doubtful or uncertain.
Since the poor merit full demai, just as they do paya, we feed the poor with demai, as it says in Mishnah 1.
That's right. Yes, the third chapter of the first halakha of the third chapter. Hodaya tur shalach.
Or kilayim.
Kilayim. It's one
Kilayim
example. This is one example where the accent's in the middle. Kilayim. Kilayim.
mixtures. After demai comes kilayim, prohibited mixtures, following the order of the biblical verses in the section Kedoshim Tiyu.
Tihu. That's right. You shall be.
You shall be holy. The first verse to appear is, you shall not reap the corner of your field. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 10. And later comes the verse, you shall not plant your field with kalaim, a mixture of different types of seeds. Also in Leviticus 19.
Tamshichi. Continue, Tamshichi.
Shavi
Eat. That's right. Should be eat.
There we go. Seventh. After
I'm happy that sometimes he does this. I just don't know why he does it sometimes and not other times.
Yeah, the switching back and forth is confusing. After Kilayim, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi placed Masechta Shavi'ith, the seventh land sabbatical year. Following the order of the biblical verses, Orla, fastened fruit, should be the Masechta to follow Kilayim, rather than Shavi'ith, Leviticus chapter 25, verse 1. But he saw that the Orla is not among the unconditional obligatory mitzvot resting upon the landowner. As long as he does not plant anything, he is not obligated to comply with the regulations of Orla, and that Shavi'ith.
For some reason, this is not wanting to be simple. Each page kind of sticks when I try to change it. All right. Okay.
Shavi'ith is
Time to
one
get a
of
new
the
computer. Go ahead.
is one of the mitzvot a person must perform regardless. He therefore first continued discussing of all the related unconditional obligatory mitzvot, and thus proceeded with Shavi'ith. Furthermore, the mitzvah of Shemitah, the sabbatical year, the mitzvah discussed in Shavi'ith, has an exclusive section entirely devoted to it in the Torah, Leviticus chapter 25.
All right, teruma, offerings. Continuing with those mitzvot, those commandments, which are unconditionally obligatory, he then began Masechta Teruma, that is the tractate of offerings, Gedolah, heave offerings, contributed to the Kohanim, the descendants of Aaron, the priestly descendants of Aaron. Since Teruma, that is Gedolah, the great Teruma, is the very first of the donations brought from the soil growth, that is produce of the earth. And teruma can also be understood as donations. And in modern Hebrew is the standard word for donation. Number 7, ma'asaroth, tithes, ma'asaroth. After teruma, after the offerings, comes Masechta ma'asaroth, the tractate or the volume regarding tithing, which deals with Ma'aser Rishon, the first tithe, the annual contribution given to the Levites. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21 to verse 24, seeing that it comes second to Teruma in the order of produce set aside for donation purposes. Number 8, Ma'aser Sheni, the second tithe. After Ma'aser Rishon, after the first tithe, he discussed the second tithe, Ma'aser Sheni. See Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22, following the order of importance. Number 9, Hallah. Hallah. So Hallah does not originally refer to a braided bread eaten on Shabbat. Actual challah is something different. So challah is the dough. It is the portion of dough that's set apart for the donation to the priests, the sons of Aaron. So challah is the Masechta, is the section, the tractate of the Mishnah, which deals with the contribution of dough, which we can find in Numbers chapter 15, verse 17 through 21. That is the dough that is given to the Kohanim, the priests, since all those aforementioned land produce donations, which include terumah, the main offering, ma'aser rishon, the first tithe, and the second tithe, ma'aser shini, since all of them are of seed planted in the earth. And after a person removes such produce from the ground, he then normally proceeds to mill them, make them into flour, and knead the flour into dough. Therefore, such dough is subject to the challah donation for the Kohanim, for the priests. מעצבן. מעצבן. Okay. מי הבא בתור? Who's next in line? I believe it is Mr. Peter. So, bechavod.
Tershali or La 10 and Bikurim, fastened and first produced. When he completed the subject of soil produce and its concomitant donations, he began to speak of the topic of fruits. Thus, after Masechta Challah, he placed Masechta or La, fastened fruit, and then Bikurim, first produced, conforming to the sequence of the Torah. The Orlah is spoken of in the book of Leviticus, which is the third of the 5 books of Moses, and the Bikurim are spoken of in the section Ki Tavo, when you shall come, which is in Deuteronomy 26, 1-12, which is in the 5th book of the Pentateuch.
All right. Keta haba, next paragraph, Keta haba.
On me?
Yes, sir. You can continue to the next Keta, the next paragraph.
Thus, Seder Zeraim comprises a total of 11 Masechtot, Seder Moadei, holidays.
I think it's, well, I know in Hebrew it's just Mo'ed. I think he's trying to get us to read it. In this instance, he's trying to transliterate in a way that an English speaker would naturally read, like Mo'ed, because in Ashkenazi pronunciation, they say aid instead of ed. I don't think he intends us to pronounce the E here. And in Hebrew, it wouldn't be there. I've never, ever seen that. So pretty sure that's what he's doing.
Well,
I
who's he that you're
apologize.
referring to? Because this obviously he wrote in Aramaic to everyone, but we have other people that come along later and tried to transliterate it for us to read. So do we know who, is that an individual, many individuals, which might be why
He
we
didn't
see
read
so
this in
many?
Aramaic. He read it in Hebrew. He used the Hebrew translation of the Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just, hey, I like that he's doing it because I can tell he's struggling with the issue of transliteration, which is a good thing. Most people who write Jewish books in English do not struggle with transliteration, and that's not a good thing because the normative transliterations are not good. They're not good for most people. So I like that he's struggling with it, but it does make it kind of cumbersome for us.
So it says the translator is Zevi Lumpel. Yep, just moved on me. If that's what you were asking.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't, Rambam didn't write it to the English speakers, so
Correct.
someone else that came along later.
Yeah, just that people know this inconsistency is not reflective of the original author. It's the person translating it to English. But yeah, and I'm also, I don't think you should be looked down upon because of it, because you can tell he's recognizing what most translators and most rabbis don't recognize. The fact that he's being inconsistent, and sometimes it's not random inconsistency. Well, it is a little bit, but it's not in a bad way. His inconsistency is reflective of his struggle with the normative methods of transliterating, as opposed to what he is intuitively understanding is a better method of transliterating. And he's going back and forth. And his own intuitive way of transliterating, which are violating the norms, are actually better. They are better. But the problem is he's struggling with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. All right, so Seder Mo'ed.
Okay, so Seder Moed.
And he
Holidays.
wants you to read it like Ashkenazi Mo'ed, right? And that also adds another element of confusion in it all. Man.
Seder Moed, Shabbos, Shabbat, Sabbath, Shabbat. Afterwards, he divided Seder Moed into its sections as he had done with Seder Zeraim, beginning with Masechta Shabbat, since Shabbat is first in importance among the holy days, and because it is the most frequent holiday occurring every 7 days. The Torah itself also begins with it in this section dealing with the holidays. Leviticus 23:3.
Continue. Tamshir.
Eruvim, amalgamations. After that, he placed Masechta Eruvim, since the subject matter is related to Shabbat.
All right, and amalgamations is a very, very technical, literal translation of Eruvim. A more simple translation would just be mixing or mixtures. But what that refers to is the way in which we create a paradigm, we create a reality that will allow for transferring from one domain to another, which is normally prohibited on Shabbat, to transfer from the private domain to the public domain on Shabbat, on the Sabbath. And we call it a mixture because the way in which we create a reality in a community so that you can take things out of your house and walk outside carrying stuff on Shabbat. The way we do that is not simply by putting up a string around a neighborhood. The way we do it is by creating a meal that is a mixture of foods from various people in the community, so that by mixing the food of the various residents in one location, hence we call it eruvin, which means a mixing or a mixture. By doing that, we create a reality that this neighborhood is like one domain because we all have joined together in one meal from our property, so that the entire neighborhood now becomes like one resident, like one domain. That's the idea behind it, and that's why it's called an eruv.
Is this practice that a meal
Not
is made
usually.
somewhere? Okay.
Not usually, no. And also, in some places they do it, and when they do it, they don't do it every week, and they do it kind of symbolically once a year, and it rots away. That's what's going on.
Probably more in the land than outside.
I really don't know what they do outside of Israel. I know in Israel they do usually do it, but they're doing it like once a year. They're not doing it every Shabbat. And however, you can be relieved of your concern because this is only working for rabbinic there's a rabbinically constructed concept of a public domain. Not all public domains are actually a public domain. So you don't really have to worry about violating a Torah prohibition in a place where you have an eruv. But yes, for the opinions in the Talmud that call for an eruv, there is certainly pretty bad violation of those original parameters that are given. It's not. On the one hand, they think they're being, or the average person thinks they're being strict by holding to these eruvs, but the popularly constructed eruvs are actually, like, at best, extreme on a limb leniencies of alignment with the words of the sages who held to it. But you really don't have to worry. That's a big topic unto itself. Without getting into the topic, I don't like to say trust me, but you can trust me that you're not likely to be violating a Torah prohibition. What, if anything, you're violating is a rabbinic prohibition. So, and that's why in practice they're so lenient. But if you have no doubt regarding a rabbinic teaching, then you should not be lenient with it if you know that the leniency is not what they intended. But that's another thing. It's the reality at hand. So don't drive yourself crazy. Don't drive your spouses crazy or your kids. If you know that sticking to it to the letter of the law is likely to push them away from general Torah observance, it's better to sacrifice this rabbinic concept and be negligent with it the way that the majority are, rather than sticking to your guns, digging your heels in the ground and turning this one particular area of rabbinic law into the end all, even if it means sacrificing the observance of Torah in the future for your kids, or even in the present for your kids and your spouse. Sometimes you have to pick your battles, and this really is, yeah, it's not a battle, it's not a hill to die on at the end of the day. Number 3, Pesachim.
Number 3, Pesachim, Passovers. Next comes Pesachim, dealing with the laws of Passover, which is the first of the mitzvot given through Moses, Exodus 12. This is the mitzvah second to Shabbat in the section of the Torah dealing with the holidays of Leviticus 23 mentioned above.
Okay. Right, Shakalim.
Number 4, Shekalim, and 5, Kippurim, shekels and atonements. Then comes Shekalim, plural of shekel, the coin whose half value was donated annually by each person to the temple.
It literally means weight. So it's named after weight. Shkol, shokel. So the money was determined by the weight of the substance being used as the basis for transaction.
Following the order of the Torah, Exodus 20:12, Shekalim is followed by Kippurim, also known as Yuma Day, dealing with the laws of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Still following the Torah's sequence.
Right, so the I's and the U's are consistently E and U.
I struggle with that.
We'll get there. Don't worry. But let's try to do it. It's okay if.
Oh, feel free to correct me. It's been a long time that I've needed.
No problem. So. I know it may seem trivial, but if our hope is that a person can actually at some point speak at least even broken Hebrew, you don't want to be saying kippur and shekel in spoken Hebrew. It's not only going to sound extremely jarring, and truly, it's not a personal sentiment. That it is widely recognized in Israel, even by Ashkenazi Jews who speak Hebrew. It is jarring to hear that kind of a pronunciation in Hebrew, to the degree of a really, really bad Chinese or Indian accent in English, like the worst of the accents in English. And it's not a diss on the Chinese, because there are plenty of Chinese and Indian people who speak good English. But when there's a bad accent from an underlying Chinese or Indian language, mother language, the same way that is like among the worst of accents in English, that's how it sounds in Hebrew. Like you really don't want to sound that way when you speak Hebrew. And it's not only that it's jarring, but it also is very difficult to understand. So like if the word is Hebrew, it is reasonable and in your own interest to try to pronounce it, if it's not extremely difficult, to make some effort to pronounce it roughly how it would be pronounced, at least in modern Hebrew.
I will try again, and I might need a correction again, just so you know. So.
I'm not going to correct you on everything. Just know that just for everybody who's listening also in the future, it will help you a lot if you at least try to focus on these two letters, the I, these two vowels, the I and the U. If you can make the I's consistently an E sound and the U's consistently an oo sound, ooh, like, ooh, that's gross, right? So just those two can make a huge difference in the ease of understanding your Hebrew if you speak Hebrew.
Okay, so Yom Kippur.
That's it.
Man, that sounds funny, but it's right. I know it.
Right. And I'm not being nitpicky. If I were nitpicky, I would say other things as well, but at least these two, you know?
I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, still following the Torah sequence, as the mitzvah of Shekalim is in the section of Kitisa, when you shall count, which is in Exodus 30:11. The second book of Moses and the subject of Kippurim is in the is in the section Acharei, after the death of the sons of Aaron.
This is beautiful. See, like, you can tell, and I love this, even though it's annoying kind of, but I love it because it's so rarely done in Jewish literature in English. Like, I think he knows the better way to do it, but he just kind of keeps going back and forth. It's so funny to see. Like, this is pretty good, you know.
So the second H would have a CH sound.
A consonantal sound, a
Yeah.
consonantal sound. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
het. And he's knowing that if you can do it, you should distinguish between het and chaf in your transliteration. And he's also understanding that if I only put one H, they may just pronounce it as are, because AH is often just to an English speaker. And so he understood intuitively to put an extra H to distinguish the two. Very good. He put thought into that. He's just having an inner battle that we're having to join him in.
Then throw an S in there.
Yeah. Yes. It's so great. I love it. It's so great.
It's like, this is
Yeah,
important.
that is.
That's not so much. Okay.
Yeah, there are S's in Hebrew, but
Yeah.
at the end of a word, most of the time that's not an S. Sometimes it is an S, but most of the time you can be safe to even assume that that's a final tav with no dagesh, with no dot.
And 2 lines above it, we have key. He wrote seesaw,
Yes,
which is key seesaw. Yeah.
Bless his heart. Bless his heart. All right. Mihaba. Hodayat, Hotza, you want to do it?
10.
B'chavod.
6. Sukkah. 7. Baitzah.
Yes.
And 8. Rosh Hashanah. Sukkah, Egg, and New Year. The Rebbe then intended to complete his discussion of the Shalosh.
Let's call it Ribi, if you guys don't mind.
Ribi.
The Rebbe just is not right. It's not right. Ribi.
Ribi then intended to complete his discussion of the Shalosh Regalim, the 3 pilgrimage festivals. As he had already spoken on Pesach, there now remained Sukkoth and Shavuoth to be discussed. However, the only matters he found to discuss concerning Shavuoth were matters pertaining to all holidays. Thus, after Masechta Kippurim, he would have come Masechta Beitzah, which deals with those laws. However, since there are so many additional mitzvot applying to the holiday of Sukkoth, he put Masechta Sukkah first, and only then Beitzah. At this point, the sole holy day mentioned in Scripture left to discuss was Rosh Hashanah, New Year, Leviticus chapter 23, verse 23 through 25, and Numbers chapter 29. And so, after Beitzah, he spoke about Rosh Hashanah.
All right, Rosh Hashanah literally means head of the year. You could understand it as the culmination of the year, but not strictly New Year. It is a sort of New Year, but it is not what people widely consider, widely misunderstand as the Jewish New Year. It's not the Jewish New Year. It's the universal year of creation according to tradition. So it's the pre-Israelite New Year. When does the actual Jewish New Year start according to the Torah? The actual Israelite New Year.
Pesach?
So the month of Pesach. Yes, the month
Yeah,
of Pesach.
the month of Pesach, first month of the year. I mean, yeah, first
Manuel,
month of the
Baruch
year.
haba, Shavua tov.
Hey, Shabbat Tov.
Would you like to do the next one?
Sure.
All right, so you
Are
have
we
to
there?
say Tor Sheli. My turn. Tor Sheli.
Or shall we?
B'chavod, kol hakavod. So the S's at the end of words, you can assume they are a TH sound or a T sound for modern Hebrew. Ta'niyot. It's really ta'niyot. Ta'niyot. All right. Number 9, b'chavod.
Ta'aniyot, fast. Upon completing his discourse on all the festivals spoken in the Pentateuch, he now began to speak on those special days of the year mentioned in the book of the prophets. The fast days instituted by the prophets, those after Rosh Hashanah, he recorded Masechta Taniyot.
Beautiful. All right. Tamshich. You can do one more and then we will get someone else to go.
Okay. 10.
Just for any newcomers, you don't want to read this Majala.
No, I was going to say Magillah.
I know. I'm not referring to you. I used to have a friend, and he used to always say Majala because he thought it was hilarious. Well, I think because it was the way he first read it. It was like a joke between us because we started yeshiva at the same time, and he's like Majala. They're like, no, Megillah, Majala. So funny.
Yeah. Magillah scroll. Magillah or scroll, I guess that's what that means. Next, he plays Masechta, Magillah, the Laza Purim, on which the Magillah scroll of Esther is read, because the reading of the scroll of Esther is Tokana. Tokana.
It's an edict.
Okay. Instituted by later prophets than those who instituted the fast days.
All right. Miha Babator, who's next in line?
Ani haba.
Yeah, kol hakavod.
Mo'ad. Mo'ad. Kutan. Mo'ed. Kutan.
I don't even know anymore. It should be Katan. Let's say Katan.
Yeah, that's weird. Minor holiday or holy day. After Megillah.
He's trying not. So you know how we said assume the U's are U?
Yeah.
Here he's reverted to how he's assuming a native English speaker would assume it's read. And a normal native English speaker would not read this as kutz. They'd read it as katan. That's what he was doing. I see what he was doing.
Yeah, K-A-H might have sounded better to me, but okay. Katan.
But a regular English speaker would read that as cat.
H.
So it's a struggle. It's a struggle. The best thing is to, at the beginning of a book, write a key for transliteration, explain your general method, and then stick with it. That's the biggest problem.
Or write a book that just has all of them in there, all the different ways to transliterate something.
That's a horrible idea.
That is a horrible idea.
Just
yeah, that's funny. I'm reading this. I'm going, what in the heck is Kutan? And I'm thinking, it should be very familiar to me. And
he's trying to represent the Katan vowel there, which is a kamas. And this would not be bad if he would just be consistent and he would explain it at the beginning. Anyway, let's keep going. I'm sorry.
Nope.
Sorry, you guys. If you know a better or a more consistent translation, let us know. So
the minor holy days. After Megillah comes Moed Katan. Minor holidays dealing with those matters forbidden, permitted, and required on the intermediate days of 7-day holidays. Since there is a similarity between the subject discussed therein and that of Purim, on both occasions it is prohibited to either fast or eulogize.
Do od ahad. Do one more keta. One more paragraph. Maze
I,
keta. What is a
ha,
keta? What is a
uh,
keta?
the paragraph?
Yes, sir. Keta is a paragraph.
Ha, Hagiga,
Okay.
Hagiga, festival, like a hag, hag.
That's right. That's right.
Now that he completed the entire subject of the special times of the year, their concomitant committant obligations and everything relate. Yes, sir.
Commitants. I don't know what it means even.
Yeah.
If someone can look that up for us.
Yeah. Anyway, obligations and everything related to them. He sealed the discussion with Masechta Hagiga.
I think it means accompanying, by the way. I think it
There,
means
okay.
accompanying because con is with. So probably things that go along with it.
Obligatory items. Yeah, obligations. With Masechta Hagiga festivals, which deals with the unique obligation of the pilgrim festivals, the coming to the Holy Temple in Jerusalem with an offering, as in Deuteronomy 16:16. He had left this major topic aside to be inserted as the last one of the Seder, since it is not of universal concern, being obligatory only upon males. 3 times of the year all your males shall be seen before the Lord Hashem, Exodus 23:17. Thus, Seder Moad consists of a total of 12 misectos.
All right. 12 tractates.
So concomitant means naturally accompanying or associated.
Yeah, accompanying. See, it benefits to know some Latin roots. I did not know it, but because we know that con means with, it made sense. Things that are associated with. Yeah.
Yeah, it was new, but it kind of was you could kind of
Why
figure it
do
out.
that?
I don't
Why
know.
do that? That is a
Why do you do that?
characteristic of religious Jewish books. I'm telling you, it's not just this book. Very, very common that there will just be like, well, this one is not the worst. Uh, there are only a few here, but a lot of English Jewish books in the religious world will have words that, I understand we love words. Jews love words, and I love that as well. But if you're writing for if you're writing for people who are not trying to, they're not reading Jewish literature in order to become like get a master's degree in English literature. They're reading it for Jewish knowledge.
More
Like,
practical rather than scholarly.
why are you putting in their words that even highly literate English speakers don't usually know?
Right.
I mean, I like learning them, but
better.
I'm saying for the point of the book.
Yeah.
If the point of the book is to teach Jewish concepts in Hebrew, and like you don't need to throw a curveball and also try to like bring up our English to a level of PhD in English literature.
Yeah, you're right. You're writing the volumes of the Talmud down to a level to give to the common man, and then you throw out these big words. I call them $3 words.
Yeah, I like it, but like it defeats the purpose of do it in a book for English literature. Yes,
do you
ma'am.
think it's intentional gatekeeping or
yes?
Okay.
I don't think it's gatekeeping. I don't think it's intentional gatekeeping, but I do think it's intentional. I think it's an intentional personal love of language, but they're not thinking about the purpose.
At the time of it, the translations being written, maybe it was more commonly being used back then versus not at all.
This is not an old translation.
You weren't around back then. Okay.
This is not an old translation, but that is something that could be if it were an old translation. That could definitely be. That's the case
old
with
English
the King James
kind of
Bible.
deal. Yeah. So how old is this? How old is this?
We'll have to go all the way back. I don't know off the top.
Yeah, I don't know.
1987.
Yeah, I knew it could not be old because it wasn't translated from Arabic into modern Hebrew until relatively recently.
I don't think I used that word in the 80s.
he's using a translation that the teacher of most of my teachers was the teacher of, meaning the rabbi of most of my rabbis is the one who was responsible for translating it from Arabic to Hebrew for the first time in known history, the entire text. This really, really important text was not even available in Hebrew in its entirety until relatively recently. And that was the work of the rabbi of most of my rabbis. Zichrono livracha, his memory be a blessing. That's Rav Yosef Tafeh. Zatzal, Zecher Sadiq livracha. Yehi Adonenu, Marenu Verabenu. Okay, I'm going to stop. Sorry.
Thank you.
Let's keep going. Yalla, yalla.
Where are we at?
We are
Haggadah is
on.
done. Nashim,
Let's get Peter to
women.
go. Peter, don't kill me.
Peter had an appointment. Peter had an appointment.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay. Emmanuel Bechavot. Oh, I didn't read. I'll let Emmanuel do it because I've been talking a lot.
All right. Seder Hanashim, women. Masechta Yavamot.
Let's clarify what we're doing because I know this seems very nuanced. What he's doing here in this chapter is giving us a brief introduction to all of the sections of the Mishnah. So he's not delving deeply into all the laws, but in a similar vein as we have in the book of Mitzvot, that for the last year we were reading like a 1 or 2 paragraph summary of each commandment. So this is what the Rambam Maimonides is doing here with the Mishnah. We're not going into all the minutia, but he's introducing all the major sections of the Mishnah.
Perfect.
What they deal with. Just a brief summary of what they deal with. B'chavod. Go right ahead. B'chavod. With honor.
Okay, Masechta Yevamot, liberate marriages. He then subdivided the subject of Seder Nashim, necessarily, necessarily beginning with Masechta Yevamot, dealing with Yibum, to proceed. The procedure of marrying one's children, take deceased brother's wife to fulfill the late brother's self-initiated mission of building a family. Deuteronomy 25, 5-10. Sforno Ibid 7. Even though it seems to be more logical to begin with Masechta Kesubot, marriage contracts dealing with would the husband marital obligations toward his wife effective in all marriages. This order was intentional, however, as an ordinary marriage is the prerogative of the individuals who wish to fulfill the obligation of having a wife. Beidin being unable to compel him to do so, whereas one's performance of Yibum is subject to enforcement of the Beidin, which has the right to tell him to either marry his late brother's wife or to perform halitza.
All right, hold on. So Beit Din is a Jewish court and a court of Israel, and we don't mean modern secular court of the secular government of Israel. So Beit Din is a council of at least 3 Jewish scholars. 3 is, and Jewish we're using as a synonym for Israelite, a faithful Israelite. So it's a court of at least 3 scholars of Israel who enforce Torah, who, as representatives of the great Sanhedrin. So that's what Bein is.
Okay. To perform Havitza or shoe removal, the ceremony gone through abstain from Yibum. It is much more proper and appropriate to give prior attention to laws which are compulsory and enforceable than to begin with those laws which are not. Hence, he began with Masechta Yevamot.
We should all inscribe this in the forefront of our minds with regard to how we learn Torah. It is much more proper and appropriate to give prior, that is first, primary, attention to the laws that are compulsory and enforceable, those that are actual obligations of the highest degree than to begin with those laws that are not. And this is not just in the Mishnah. This is the way we should learn Torah. We should not, when somebody comes to become more Torah observant, whether they're from a non-Jewish background or whether they're from a Jewish background, it is not proper to throw them into a Kabbalah class, even beginner Kabbalah. That's not what you got to do. They're not even familiar with all of the 613 commandments, and we're throwing them into a Kabbalah class. And that is what is common in yeshivot for people who make teshuvah, for Jews who don't have much Jewish education. They will throw them into these weird classes. They also teach them classes on halakha, but there's so much other and more important things to focus on. And even when they're learning halakha, rarely is their intentional prioritization of basic practical duties first and foremost before learning hypothetical scenarios from the Talmud, right? This is a huge pervasive problem in the Jewish seminary system, the Jewish yeshiva system. Huge problem. And this is the root source of the problems among the Jewish people today. And it's also what birthed the Reform movement. It's this misprioritization which causes confusion and yeah. So let's inscribe this in the forefront of our minds to try to always prioritize our learning. First things first. Once we master those things, then we can move on to the minutia or to Talmudic hypothetical disputes, right? I wish every yeshiva had this written over the doors underneath Shaviti Adonai Lenegdi Tomid. Right, so first we could have like Shema Yisrael or some other bedrock verse. I have placed God ever before me. And then under that, it is proper and appropriate to first give attention to what is compulsory and enforceable before going on to the things that are voluntary or superfluous. Thank you for my rant. I bow. Mr. Victor, b'chavod. I think
He had to step out for a minute.
Okay. Hodaya b'chavod.
He then placed ketuvos,
That's it.
marriage contracts, next in order. 3. Nedarim, vows. After ketuvos comes nedarim, prohibitory vows. The biblical section dealing with vows and rabbinical thought upon that section consists entirely of vows of women alone, as the Torah states at the close of that section. These are the decrees which Hashem has commanded to be enforced between a man and his wife, between a father and his daughter. Numbers chapter 30, verse 17. And it is when the marriage procedure is consummated that the husband thereupon has the right to nullify his wife's vows. This is the reason that Masechta Nedarim, prohibited vows dealing, nevertheless, with all types of oaths, is placed after Keduvos, marriage contracts.
You did good, Habibti. All right. Nazir. Right, he put an H here, which is nice because then a normal English speaker would know not to read it as Nazir. Instead it's Nazir. All right. So one who abstains, a Nazir. After Nedarim, go ahead.
He placed Masechta Nazir. A Nazir is a person who abstains from wine and all other grape products, from the vicinity of all dead except for his wife, and from the cutting of his hair. Samson, for example, was a Nazir. The order is such because becoming a Nazir also involved taking a form of a vow, Numbers chapter 6, verse 1 through 8. And when a woman vows Nazirship, her husband can nullify her vow. Therefore, after Nedarim, vows, comes this related topic of Nazir.
All right, Gitin, separation documents. This is like a divorce document. Upon completing the discussion of marriage and what it entails as regards annulling vows, he began the topic of divorce, thus placing gitin, separation, divorce documents, after nazir. Number 6, sota, unfaithful. After gitin, the section dealing with divorce, comes sota, the section dealing with a wife who is suspected of unfaithfulness, of adultery, since it is related to the subject of divorce. When the unfaithful or the suspected unfaithful wife commits adultery, the husband and the wife may be forced to separate, as will be explained in its proper place. So I shouldn't have put suspected in that last sentence. When the unfaithful wife, if it's determined that she's unfaithful, when the unfaithful wife commits adultery, the husband and the wife may be forced to separate. So it's not voluntary, as will be explained in its proper place. So he's understanding the order of the Mishnah as having a logic to it that is based upon prioritization of obligatory commands as opposed to those commands that are commands. It's not that they're not obligations, but they are commands related to things that have an aspect of voluntary implementation. Let's say, for example, the difference between putting up a mezuzah, which is a command, as opposed to the commandment to recite Shema. So reciting Shema for a male is regardless of anything that's left to your voluntary choice. If you are a male and you are not mentally incompetent, you are obligated to recite Shema, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, and the associated biblical passages. You're obligated to recite that regardless. It's not a matter of choice. But putting up a mezuzah, the biblical texts affixed to one's doorpost, that, although it is a command, but it's a command that's conditional upon your voluntary building of a door. There is no commandment that you build doors in order to put on a mezuzah. You guys understand the difference?
Yeah, it's subtle difference there, but it makes sense. Like
It's an important difference.
zitziot.
Exactly. It's also a conditional command. You don't have to go out of your way to make four-cornered garments in order that
Right.
you'll be obligated. We do it because we love the commandments and we don't want to effectively never see this commandment again when it's so easy to still do it. So we go out of our way to make a four-cornered garment. But you're not sinning by not wearing a garment that would require tzitzit. Same thing with a door. You're not sinning by creating a wall that has no door. Every wall that you have in your house that has no door, that was a potential mitzvah, a potential commandment you could have done. But it's not a sin that you didn't put a door there, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, you get the idea.
So, like to clarify, with those who want to wear zitziot, if you're wearing a t-shirt that's round at the bottom, there's no cuts along the sides. It's not a four-cornered garment, and your
Right, so
jeans
you're
are
not
certainly
sinning
not a
by not
four-cornered.
wearing tzitzit.
Yeah, right.
But
On the
go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Also, our sages defined the corner that's obligated because you could have uncertainty regarding what constitutes a corner. So the slit has to be at least halfway up the length of a garment in order to constitute a corner, 4 of which would require tzitzit. If you had 4 or more, they would require tzitzit. But those corners have to be at least a splitting of the garment halfway up the garment or more in order to do it. That edge, halfway up that edge, that particular edge of the garment. So if
Which
the
sounds
split
like more
is,
of a ceremonial garment rather than a daily wear item. Who's gonna?
well, back in the day, it was daily wear. And even today, it's still daily wear
Yeah.
in many third world countries. But yes, in America, that's why it kind of became associated with a ceremonial garment. But that, I know it sounds unusual today, but that's just because we're used to the norms of fashion in our Western countries.
Sure. I had a
But
question
scarves,
on number
if the
5.
scarf is large,
Mhm.
don't think, oh, it's just a scarf. It's not the ceremonial garment. I don't have to put tzitzit on it. If that scarf is large enough to cover the body of a child who's old enough to go to a market alone historically, and that was estimated to be around the age of 6. So if that scarf is large enough to cover the majority of a 6-year-old's body, your scarf is obligated in actual tzitzit. Don't think, oh, this isn't the ceremonial garment, so we don't have to put. No. All garments that a Jewish male is wearing, if that garment has 4 corners and it's of that size, and the corners are either completely split, so it's perfectly rectangular, or it's not rectangular, but the slit is halfway or more up a particular side, you need to have tzitzit on it. Just because it's not fashionable doesn't mean it's not an obligation if you're wearing it.
Hmm.
You guys follow?
Yeah.
So that's
far.
a lot more relevant for people living in colder areas, but it's a real thing. And you can see Jews in the religious world wearing scarves that are obligated in tzitzit, and there are no tzitzit on it, just because people don't usually do it, so they get away with it. But it's a requirement. Like, what makes you think that that isn't requiring tzitzit? It's just so crazy.
So you're saying that you could be dressed in a way that you might have 3 sets of tzitzits
Oh, definitely.
on your body.
Definitely.
And if you've not seen that, have you ever seen that?
There was a famous rabbi in Scheinberg in Israel, who was famous for wearing multiple sets of tzitzit in order to do just as many mitzvot as he could. But it was a mockery, man. It was a mockery. It wasn't like 2 or 3. It was, I don't know the number, but he was skinny.
He had a lot of
so
catching up
many
to do.
layers on that he looked obese. It looked like a joke. But the dude wasn't a funny guy, which is why it doesn't look good. It's really like that passage, I'm sorry to say, but it was like the passage where Jews are stereotyped as hypocrites and having their priorities wrong because of the making a show of your religion that was common among some Pharisees, that gets then crystallized, memorialized for all the world to make fun of in Matthew chapter 23. It's straight up like that. I'd say it was even worse. So you can look it up, Rabbi Scheinberg. You know what? I'm gonna look it up. I want you guys to see this. Just that you know, he does not represent the majority of rabbis do not do things this ridiculous, but there are people who do it. Rabbi Scheinberg. I'm not sure how you spell his name.
While you're looking that up, I had another item in
Look at this.
Oh,
look at this.
Got it?
He is not obese. That is from all the layers of tzitzit that he's wearing. Look at that. There's got to be one where you can see.
So you're saying he would have like many katans on.
Here he has a student who's doing a similar thing. They make a joke. This is ridiculous. They're making a joke of Judaism.
He's more pious than all of us. Come on.
And you see his students who look up to him go and then do the same thing. Freaking ridiculous.
That doesn't look good.
It's freaking look at that. Look at his head. And I had a friend one time who had to go speak to him for some legal thing in Israel for marriage. And my friend was wearing tefillin, which is a commandment, indisputably a commandment. He was only wearing one, and it was a small tefillin, not one that like you look absurd wearing it. And this rabbi also regularly wears tefillin, even when he's not praying. But my friend went there to meet him because he had to. And well, look, it's one of my favorite rabbis right here. That's so funny. So my friend went there. My friend, keep in mind, just a regular dude. He's wearing tefillin. He learns in the old city of Jerusalem, right next to the Zilberman Yeshiva, where everybody wears tefillin all the time. But because this rabbi just, he didn't know him, he had the audacity to tell him that it's heresy that he's wearing tefillin because I guess he's just not at a high enough level. That's freaking ridiculous. The sages didn't say you have to be some super saint to wear tefillin. It's, he had the audacity to tell him that. And when my friend said, well, he asked him, who said you could do that? And my friend quoted Rabbi Yosef Kafah, who is the rabbi, his memory be a blessing, that translated this very important text we're studying right now, the one who translated it from Arabic to English. And in fact, he didn't just do that for this text that we're studying right now. He's responsible for translating many texts that were not available in Hebrew until he translated them from Arabic to Hebrew, of some of the greatest of our rabbis. And so when he mentioned that, this guy's like, this heresy, because he had the audacity to try to restore the Jewish people to our proper and reasonable ways, the ways of our sages, not this kind of a thing. I don't know why I can't find one where you actually see all the CCs, but you get the idea. He learned
that
it
one
from
there,
him.
with the student, is
Yeah.
pretty obvious. Can you click on it and have it go full
I
screen
think
or
it's a
no?
video, but we'll try.
Well, yeah, that one is a video. I think I'm gonna try that. That's my new look.
Maybe he's selling them. You know, when you see people in other third world countries, they put all the stuff they're selling and they just take one off as they make the sale.
That
And then
might be it.
and then they go, they'll go in the street or on an airplane and inconvenience someone, this is going to like rub in people's faces as they go down the aisle. And it just makes it makes Torah look ridiculous. This is not Torah.
Yeah, I personally can't see putting two on because I'm cold. I would put one on and then something else over it, a coat or whatever for the warmth. But I like each layer of clothing that I have that may have the corners, like you said, should have it. I guess that makes sense. So you might have a few, two or three maybe, but this 20 katans, that's just, I don't get that.
Like
And
the
then
priorities.
he's praying with the gadol, talit gadol. Looks like he has this huge
Like something
back.
tells me, I don't know what it is exactly, but I just kind of get this feeling that the priorities might just be a little bit off, just a little bit.
Maybe. Yeah. All right.
But to actually bow before God, as is explicitly attested to in all of our source texts. Oh, that why are you making stuff up?
Yeah. I'm going to say that it has to be just ignorance, not a willful. I'm going to mock God, but because
you are a kind guy.
Well, I don't.
Yeah, no, they're not intentionally mocking God. No, for sure not. That's not what I mean. But misprioritization, or oh my gosh, and it is a mockery of God, but I do think it's unintentional.
Right.
These people do believe in God, and gosh, it's just so. Sometimes I think some of this stuff might be mental illness, also. Yes, ma'am.
It seems like there are better ways to add on more mitzvot.
Yes, like how
maybe
about
you
being
could,
kind?
like maybe
to
you
people?
maybe you could give those to somebody who needs them.
Yes.
Or,
Yeah.
Wow.
Or how about we increase in giving smiles to people who don't look, like they're from the Jewish world, so that we increase in the positive perception of the Jewish people, the people who are associated with Torah. Like that would be much more
Feed
effective
somebody
than
who's
this.
hungry.
Of course. Oh my goodness. Hashem Azor. God help us. All right. What time do we have on this? Let's see.
We have 4 more minutes.
All right, we'll do 4 more minutes. All right, I think let's stop here and have any discussion, and then we can go ahead and close.
All right. So yeah.
I
Yeah, I
look
was
like a
that one
kangaroo.
photo, like when you mentioned bowing, I'm thinking he's going to need help getting up. You know, he had so much weight on his back. Yeah. I guess there's
Crazy.
areas where we do something similar that we need to maybe see
I
if we
don't
can.
know. I like the idea of trying to examine ourselves
Yeah, yeah.
so that we don't just look at others, but examine our own behaviors.
What do
But
we do?
I
What do
don't
we do
think
that's similar?
I don't think many people do that kind of a thing. I don't. We might overdo this in some things that people regularly and normally have a natural tendency to be weak in, like maybe food, overindulging in food, or uh, sex, or watching movies. But when people do those things, they don't usually have the delusion that they're doing something righteous. They usually know, like
Mm.
it's not with complete obliviousness. This is like absurd obliviousness. I don't think most people are like that. I do not like. Oh my gosh, this dude is viewed as like a righteous, like big chucham. He's a
Mm.
chucham,
Oh, yeah.
a
Can
sage, a
I
chucham.
can I ask a question? I don't know
Yes,
if
sir.
I'm just curious about, for example, I have a box of clinics on Shabbat,
Yeah.
run out of clinics. The only way to get a new one is to
TP.
open the box. Can you open the box?
Yes, yes. The box is made to be open. I know there are opinions that say that if you have like a bottle that hasn't yet been opened or a box like this that hasn't yet
Mhm.
been opened, you can't open it on Shabbat because opening it creates a vessel, and that would be a malacha. However, the vessel was already created. It's already created and it's already serving its purpose. You opening the box is using it in the way that it was already made to be used.
Okay.
That is the mainstream opinion. There are opinions that would say you can't open it, but it's opinions coming from people of the mentality similar to the guy that I just showed you.
Okay. Makes sense. I
When
just
we, just as a general rule, if you are learning halakha from non-source texts, like you're not going to find this even discussed in the source texts. They give much more broad principles for you to learn. They don't go into that kind of detail, but it's necessary. I mean, they're realistic questions to ask for people who care. But if you're reading non-source texts, we're talking about texts from like the last 50 years or the last few hundred years.
mhm.
Know whether you are looking at a text of Jewish law or modern situations, know whether that text is coming from a ultra orthodox black hat source, or is it coming from a more scholarly, reasonable orthodox source? I don't encourage people to, at least when you're really starting your journey in Torah observance, I do not encourage people to learn from the black hat sources. And unfortunately, those are the most pervasive in the English speaking world. But you can find sources and rabbis to learn from who are not like that in English. Some Rabbi David Bar Haim we mentioned,
Hmm.
Rabbi Haim Ovadia, uh, Rabbi Mark Angel. There's several, but try to look for modern Orthodox. And I'm not officially modern Orthodox. Like there are things that I do that some people would say is Haredi, me personally. Some things that I do that are more aligned with the black hat. But my approach is not the insular, irrational black hat. Sometimes there's some overlap, but that's true for all rabbis, that there's
Can
going to be
you can you touch
uh,
on the rationale of the Yemenite approach or
yeah, try to
Tamani?
find rational. Yeah, the Yemenite approach was, you should know it's not all Yemenites, but that was
Yeah.
the traditional Yemenite approach. And it is still stronger among the Jews of Yemen than among many other serious Torah observant communities. But it's specifically the uh, sector of the Yemenite Jewish community that learned from Rabbi Yosef Kafeh. That is the more rational side of the Yemenite Jewish community. And they are a part of the Baladi Yemenite Jewish community as opposed to the Shami Yemenite Jewish community. So there's different subsects. But yeah, they follow more strongly in the tradition of Maimonides and the earlier post-Talmudic scholars.
There's an attempt to keep it as historically simple, maybe is the right word, versus modernly oppressive, almost.
Correct. That's right. Just because something seems super strict doesn't mean it's the historical practice of the Jewish people. Like what that guy's doing with his tzitzit. Find a precedent for that in rabbinic literature. It's not, but that's like serious, right? It must be the right thing. Come on, you guys! Like,
I've been reading a lot of books from the Habura.
Oh, good. Yes, that's I'm sorry I didn't mention that. That was not an intentional omission. Excellent.
No,
Beautiful.
yeah, no, I think they have a really good balance
Definitely.
approach to Torah observance.
Definitely.
And very, very, I guess, very scholarly.
I look deformed right now. I'm sorry for seeming self-focused, but what's going on here? It's just the angle's not good. Sorry.
Looks fine. Looks fine.
Rabbi Yonatan Halevi's another one too.
Oh yes, how could I not have said? Thank you guys so much. Absolutely, I love him. God bless him, and
Who's
all
that
of his
other guy,
children and his wife.
That Yosef Eliyah, he's pretty good.
No, I'm really. I think on some very broad concepts and broad principles, I think I have something to offer, but as far as being expert in a really, really broad range of topics in Torah, and I mean like really expert in minutia of things that we're not necessarily doing every day. I'm not trying to be humble. Like there are people who are, but still you could have somebody who is expert in a specific area, but as far as general principles, they're really off. And you want to be leery of that. Is the word leery? Or yeah, leery, not weary, but it can make you weary if you're not leery. But yeah, you guys have named some excellent people to learn from. Thank God there are true scholars of Israel still alive today, but it's not as many as you would think, especially in the English-speaking world. It's not that many. Rabbis are, I hate to say it, a dime a dozen. Like anybody can put on a black hat and grow a big bushy beard and speak with a Yiddish accent, and people will think, oh, this is the real thing. And sometimes you have some of the most famous people on YouTube, some of the most famous rabbis, Orthodox rabbis on YouTube are people who have far less yeshiva study time under their belt than I do. And I know I am not one of the biggest scholars. I know this. These guys are viewed widely in the English-speaking world as big scholars. And they started attending yeshiva long after me. But because I converted and I don't speak with the and I don't have a big bushy beard, and those people grew out their beard and learned a Yiddish sounding accent, people just assume that these are great scholars. They are not. And they say some horrible things sometimes. Are they religious? They're definitely religious. But being religious doesn't mean you have your priorities right. These people do a lot of damage. And I'm talking about some of the absolute biggest faces of Judaism on the internet. Like you would look at them and you would assume they were raised by giants of Torah. They were not. And this information is not hidden. They themselves even sometimes talk about when they made teshuvah, what they did before. Look into when that happened, like, and how quickly they suddenly transformed into a big bushy beard and black hat. Don't judge the book by its cover. When it comes to Torah, it's not smart. Don't judge the book by the cover. I hate that's the reality we live in, but we should know what the reality is.
Maybe.
Because some of these people say dangerous things publicly, I'm going to go ahead and say some of these names that don't normally do. Well, I'm not going to say them because I don't want to become a focus of their attacks. These are sick people, but I will write a few of the well-known names in our chat box. And what's the other big one? There's another one who's really big. How is his name escaping me? What is his name? Do you guys
Something
have
that
any
I've
ideas? You can
noticed,
say what?
something I've noticed about these rabbis that you're mentioning in particular is that you can often tell by the way that they treat other rabbis and other people whether they're worth listening to or not.
Yep. They would not hesitate to give a list of names of people who they say may they rot in feces for eternity. And they would say their name. What is the other? There's another big one. You guys
The
know this
student
guy.
of the one that you mentioned.
A student? I'm not sure if I know that was a student. Is he a student of one? Can you type it if you don't mind? Can you type it?
I'm trying to remember his name. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh my gosh. It's like forgetting the name of one of my friends. Like that's how big this person is. I can't. And these people say some horrible stuff. Sometimes they say things that I think is really on they hit it on the nail, but the
Yeah.
terrible things that they say frequency just really muddles the truth and muddies the water of the truth that they do present. There's so much excrement floating in the water. You don't want to drink that Kool-Aid. Like that's not Kool-Aid, buddy. That's sewage. Don't drink it.
I guess we're gonna be like my mother says, learn from all what is good, but I guess if they're not good in their own, better to distance ourselves from them.
Derech eretz kadma Torah. Basic decency. Yes, 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 yes. That's it. Man, and now I'm
I
forgetting his
can't
first
remember.
name. Is it?
No, that's his first name. There's another name after that. I can't remember.
No, I'm thinking of somebody that's the last name.
And oh,
Hmm.
oh, I believe he is a student of the other rabbi you mentioned.
No way. No way. Gosh.
Yeah. Birds of a
I
feather.
know what it is. Isn't it this? Isn't it this?
There you go. That's it.
Yeah. He's a student of the first? I didn't even realize that.
I think that's what I remember seeing.
I'm pretty sure that this guy, as much as it pains me to say it, I'm pretty sure that this guy is more intelligent, like than this guy. And like this guy, something about him, I can see that he's not very high IQ. It's just his passion, and he has some lingo he can throw out. But that, with his passion and his appearance of a gray beard, people just think he's, I guess, innocent people who haven't learned enough yet.
Authoritative, yeah.
Yeah, because he speaks as if he has authority. There's no humility.
Mm.
But something about him, I can tell that he is not a very smart person. This guy, I don't think, is particularly intelligent, but I do think he is at least average intelligence. It's just that his character traits are messed up. But it's hard for me to believe that this guy would be the student of this guy. I'm not saying it's not true, but it's just hard to believe. Oh my gosh. Maybe he's not as intelligent as I thought.
We were talking earlier about how Mishnah was transmitted to the student in a certain way, and that's gone. Yet,
It is gone.
and I'm thinking this is a result of that. We don't sit at the feet of our rabbis anymore.
There is supposed to be there's a litmus test of character. You're not supposed to invest your time in teaching Torah to just anyone. If you're producing something for the broad population, well, you're not wasting your time, even if some unqualified people will take what you're offering, and hopefully they can improve from it. But as far as investing in a specific student, you're not supposed to take just any student. Like, these people would never have been students, actual students of the sages of Israel.
Mhm.
It's unbelievable. Anyway, it's good for
Yeah.
people to know
Yes,
these names, to watch out for them.
from what
Yeah.
I'm seeing, yes, the second one is a student has studied with the first one.
A vet first student? How? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I cannot believe that. Wow, I just
But
well,
from what I've seen, they do things like there's rabbis that they call Santa Claus, and there's the
yeah.
way that they treat other Jews and other people is a
I know that these
very
guys
clear
are
indicator.
I know that these guys are I think that they have good intentions. I do. But you can do
Yes.
terrible things with good intentions. But I think that it's not only character trait here, it also is probably like limited intelligence. It's just hard for me to believe that somebody lets them go. But I haven't spent enough time looking into these people to even know. But there have to be some even non-Maimonidean type Haredi rabbis who have spoken about these people and warned. There have to be. It's just there's. Oh my goodness, it's just Hashem Yazor. I can't believe it. It doesn't make us look good. Anyway. To be clear, talking about things that are public knowledge is not leshon hara. It is not gossip. When somebody publicly says that XYZ is my opinion, if you talk about that when the public already knows that that's their position, it's not leshon hara. They put that out in public, so it's not gossip. They are proud of it. So one of these people that we're talking about said that people who have certain ailments and conditions, they mentioned people with cancer, or people who are gay. They said that these are people who did evil things in their previous life. Could you imagine saying that kind of a thing about
Mm.
someone with cancer, and like you have a child with cancer, and he's telling you that's because they were, I don't know, that's because they were a pedophile in the previous life or something like that. He has said stuff like this publicly. Unbelievable. Oh my gosh. Your child dying of cancer, it's because that they were a molester or a murderer. That's what he says to people.
Hmm.
Or you he acknowledges that some people are born, and I don't know if people are actually born gay or not. I really don't know. I suspect it, at least for some people, but I know enough and have researched enough about homosexuality to know that there is more than one underlying factor, and it cannot be that it's the same cause for all gay people because there are different types of homosexuality. There's not just one type. But I am impressed that this particular guy at least recognizes that it's not a simple choice for all, maybe for some people. But he publicly holds that some people are born gay, which I think is probably true for some people, but I would not say it's a fact. I don't know. Anyway, he states it like a fact, but he says that they were born gay because they did other even more horrible things in the past, and now this is part of their punishment.
And when you say in their past, you mean former lives, not
Yes,
not
a former
earlier
life.
years.
Like
Yeah.
he's saying things and affecting how people will treat other people based on a belief that is not even found in the source text of the Jewish people. It's not found in classical Judaism. And the earliest reference to that belief in and among the classical authorities of, of our sages, is Rav Saadia Gaon, the leader of the Jewish world in his generation. And he said that this was a belief of idolaters that were adopted by certain Jews, and it still wasn't a normative belief at his time. That
That wasn't that long ago.
doesn't mean it is idolatry to believe it, but he says it's a belief of idolaters. And I don't think you're an idolater for believing it. And I personally also, I'm not sure if it's completely not true or not. I don't know. But I do know that it's not a fundamental of Torah. I do know that it's not a part of classical Jewish tradition. It's not
Right.
something that we inherited from the sages of Israel. So, even if there's some element of truth to it, the hidden things belong to the Lord, and the revealed things belong to us and to our children forever to do the matters of this Torah, not some new Torah that's revealed through Gnosticism or something in the Middle Ages. This is not Judaism. That's not Judaism. It's a perversion. It's a perversion, no less than Christianity. No less than Christianity. All right. Anybody want to share something positive that happened to them in the last few weeks? How was your Hag?
Well, my sukkah stood upright all despite weather and which was good. It was nice. The temperatures were nice here. Today was the first day I would be like wearing a jacket to go out.
Wow.
It's a little chilly up here today.
Well, it's amazing to me that it's already that chilly and we're not feeling it down here yet, but you're really not terribly far from me,
No, not too
relative
far.
to the whole US. Wow. Makes me want to go even further south. I'm not a fan. I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of the cold. All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that. How about you, Hodaya?
My hug was fine. I'm excited though. This next week, I will probably be spending Shabbat in Brooklyn, where it's
Okay.
also going to be cold.
Yeah, man, I can't believe it's already cold up there.
Yeah,
Man, I'm gonna go to Florida
like
instead.
a high of 65.
Sounds like a good time to go to Florida.
Yeah.
Emmanuel, what about you?
It was great. It was a good time. It is chilly on our end.
Really?
We got snow in the mountains already here. So yeah.
Man, it's already
Right.
winter. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I go mountain biking typically on Sundays around midday, but it's getting cold and the mountains are wet, so I might have to just sit home and run.
Well, the hostages have been returned, Baruch Hashem.
Oh yes, that
So
was great.
if you have not already said the blessing, we can say it together. I'll say it, and then we can repeat it, or you can repeat it like word for word. Excuse me. Most worthy of praise and source of all blessing are you, O eternal, the powerful authority over us, King of all existence, who is quintessentially good and bestows good. So let's say it together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam. I'll break it into parts. Baruch atah. Baruch atah. Everybody say
Baruch
Baruch
atah
atah
Adonai
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 Eloheinu
Eloheinu
melech
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 ha'olam. Ha'olam.
ha'olam
Hatov. Hatov.
hatov
Hatov
Waha.
waha
Metriv. Metriv.
Mekliv.
metriv.
So we'll do it all again one more time for practice. Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch
atah
atah Adonai
Eloheinu
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 melech ha'olam
melech
melech
ha'olam
ha'olam
hatov v'hametiv.
wahov
hatov v'hamitiv.
Good. One more time. Hatov v'hametiv.
Hatov v'hamitiv.
Tiv.
All right. So this is the blessing we say anytime you hear really, really good news. You give great gratitude to God for this, and I'm sure our gratitude cannot compare to their gratitude. Tov lehodot l'Hashem. Thank Hashem, and may He grant wisdom to our leaders, both in Israel and in the United States, and in all places where those who call on God's name dwell, that their leaders have the wisdom to defeat terrorists, to not have shame in the destruction of those who seek to massacre the innocent. Not only that we not have shame, but that we be proud to execute his judgment as agents of God's judgment on them, those who imagine themselves to be the unifiers of his name, the declarers of monotheism, but who are actually a mockery of monotheism and a mockery of the God of Israel. May their names be blotted out, and may we as a people take the steps necessary to prevent further unspeakable actions occurring again. It's up to us and up to our leaders, and if they're not qualified, it's up to us to have leaders who will see to it that these things do not have to happen again. They don't have to happen again. Kenyi Hiroson, may it be his will. All right, bo'o
Amen.
nisgor im tefillah. Heather, would you like to proceed for us? Bevakasha.
Modeh ani lefanecha, Adonai Elohai. I am grateful before you, O Eternal, the powerful authority over me. Shesamta helki miyoshvei beth hamidrash. That you have placed my portion among those who dwell in the house of study. Walo samta helki miyoshvei koronoth. And that you have not placed my portion among those who dwell on corners. She'ani mashkim wahem mashkimim. I get up early and they get up early. Ani mashkim ledivrei Torah. I get up early to matters of Torah. Wahem mashkimim ledivrei divarim lidvarim batalim. And they get up early to empty matters. Ani omel wahem omalim. I work hard and they work hard. Ani omel unkabel sahar. I work hard and receive reward. Wahem omalim wa'en makabalim sahar. They work hard and do not receive reward. Ani ros wahem rosim. I run and they run. Ani ros l'haye ha'olam haba. I run unto the life to come. Wahem rosim liv'er shahath. And they run unto a pit of destruction.
Emmanuel, would you like to lead us in a prayer of safety and wisdom and thanksgiving for this coming week? We have several people traveling as well.
Sure. Our Father, our King, we thank you for the life you've given us and wait for this moment to share knowledge and give us wisdom to understand Torah and to discern teachings that are going to help us grow and come closer to you in obedience and be a light unto the nations. And we pray for those that are traveling, and we ask that your blessings will be upon them to bring safety and protection. And we continue to pray for our leaders and for the people of Israel as well, to have protection over them. And as the world turns against the Jewish people, that your blessings will be upon us. And we thank you for your love and kindness, and you are faithful to your promises.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Kol hakavod. Thank you guys very much.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us for the Mishnah walk. Join us again next time. When is the next one? I believe next week we're suspending.
Yeah, I think we'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll take the next week off.
There's a momentous occasion occurring. We can talk about that.
Maybe
Sure.
laughter.
We might have a new common guest next time. One of a new name.
Someone with a new name. Huh. We'll see.
So the
All
next
right.
time we'll meet is November 2nd.
All right. Thank you very much for the serious person in the room. All right. You guys have a
Amen.
blessed week. Shavua Tov and
Shavuot Tov.
Am Yisrael Hi. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.